So we are live. Welcome to this episode of the New Talk for Moms of Black Boys. I'm DePelsha Magruder, the founder of MOBB United, and I'm so excited about today's guest. She is a familiar face. She's actually been, I don't know if we were a podcast yet when we talked before. I think we were calling ourselves a webinar at the
We were
time on
calling
Zoom.
ourselves a webinar.
Yes,
Yes.
so she's
Hmm.
a returning guest from a few years ago, before we started this as a podcast. I'm
Yes.
not going to read Kelli's bio. I'm just going to go on memory on
Thank
things
you.
that I know about
Thank
her.
you.
So our guest today is Kelli Joy Richardson. I will start by saying she is a MOBB United board member, so she is
Yes.
invested in,
Proudly.
affiliated with the organization, and we're grateful
Yes.
for her
Yes.
contributions. Very important. I will share things that we have in common, maybe, and things we don't have in
Yes.
common. So, things that we have in common: we are both graduates of Howard University. We are
Yes.
both
Yes.
moms of two sons. We are both, well, you still are kind of like veterans of the entertainment industry. We both worked
Hmm.
at BET previously.
Yes.
Um, we both have a passion for this work and uplifting and fortifying
Yes.
Black boys, boys of color. Um, Things we don't have in common: she's a Delta, I'm an AKA.
Us. Hmm.
Both Alpha chapter from Howard.
Yes.
You live in, well, we don't have to tell the people where you live, but we live in different states. They
Yes.
might come looking
Yes.
for you. We can't have that. So,
Nope.
but so many things in common. She has a joyful spirit, so her name is very much fitting. And I
Hmm.
think you will see some of that today. So I just want to get into the conversation, Kelli, by allowing you to share more about yourself. I told some of the things that I know, but
Hmm.
if someone were to ask you, like, who is Kelli Joy Richardson, how do you answer that question? I'm just going to drink my coffee while you talk.
Yes. Drink your coffee. It's good to see you, DePelsha. I'm happy to be here, and I love the work
Always
you're
good to see
doing
you.
with
Even if I
Mob
have to,
United.
get you on live internet to talk to you,
Yes,
I'll do it.
exactly. Because we try to
Right.
talk all the time and we never make it happen, but we made this
Right.
happen. So happy to be here. It's interesting when you ask that question. And I think what I would say is I'm Kelli Joy. I live my life with optimism, a glass half full perspective,
Hmm.
and rose colored glasses. And people used to always
Hmm.
say that was a negative. I don't view it as a negative. I view it as a positive because I look for the good in people. And
Have
my
you always done
entire,
that? You've always been that way?
yes, my
Yeah.
dad named me
Okay.
Kelly Joy.
Hmm.
That was the vibe in my household as a little kid. And also I really work to create joy in the world. So my purpose in my life, I'm finally really clear, is to really advance authentic joy by
Mm.
creating um, purpose driven initiatives, but really ultimately driving a positive impact for people and
Okay.
for companies and for organizations and ultimately for the world in which we live. So that's who I am. I'm a sunshine loving optimist and enthusiast. I'm an entrepreneurial business leader, and my life's passion is to create positive, authentic joy in the world.
And how did you come to know that was your purpose? I'm sure you've always had this joyful, optimistic,
Hmm.
glass half full outlook and
Yeah.
personality. But at what age did you realize, were you able to articulate it in that way?
It wasn't until a few years ago, and actually 13 years ago, my father passed away suddenly from a heart attack on the day
Mm.
that he had a beautiful day, and he got up to go to bed, said, "I'm going to bed now," and he dropped it, and that was it. And it was a
Really?
beautiful,
Oh
incredible
my
day. And
God.
he told a dear friend of mine, I say that when I'm smiling because I'm sitting
Yeah.
and looking at the place where he actually passed away, and I feel very close to him in a very divine and loving and emotional way here. It's a really good place for me when
Mm.
I'm here in Florida. But a girlfriend of mine, 2 weeks after he passed away, shared that he had told her a couple weeks prior that he did not see any joy in my life. He didn't see any joy.
Mm.
And he had named me Kelly Joy
Really?
for a reason. Yes, this was 2012. He named me Kelly Joy for a reason. And he all he saw me doing was fussing with the boys, fussing with, my ex-husband at the time, always just no
Wow.
real joy. And she shared that with me, and I'm so grateful she did. And at that moment, I said, I need to do something different with my life. And that's when I decided to create a company called Joy Collective so that the
Hmm.
word joy was always in the center of my professional life.
Mm-hmm.
And then subsequently, a few years later, I'm sorry, a few years ago, recreated Joy as House of Joy and have been on this journey to joy, really since my
Wow.
dad passed away. But for those first 8 to 10 years, I still hadn't clearly determined that real joy and authentic joy is not about chasing the bag or the check or the C-suite title or all the rah-rah, the galas and all that. It wasn't that.
Mm-hmm.
I finally realized just a few years ago that really authentic joy comes from within, and it comes from loving ourselves, and it comes from being aligned with what our intentions are with our actions. And for so
Mm-hmm.
many years, even with Joy Collective, my intentions were all we're going to create authentic joy, but I wasn't doing that for myself. I wasn't doing that in
Wow.
my personal life. I wasn't doing that in my business life. And I had not connected the two, so there was no real authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
So over these past few years, going through major transitions in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and also seeing my young men, now becoming young men and doing their own thing, it has been an opportunity and a blessing to really transition and start walking this journey to that joy that my dad talked about in 2012. And I see finally I'm in this space where I'm living a joyful life for the first time in my life at almost
Wow.
59 years old. And
Wow.
it's still work in progress, but so much better than where I was in 2012 and so much better
Mhm.
than where I was even in 2022, just a few years ago. So
Wow.
that's a long-winded answer. It was
No, that's a
not
wonderful answer.
always,
I'm so glad I
oh,
asked that
great.
question. I wasn't, it was spontaneous and I didn't know most of that,
Mhm.
even though I talk to
Yeah.
you pretty
Yeah, we've known each
frequently.
other
So
forever.
yeah, I'm
Hmm.
so glad I asked that. I didn't know that as part of your journey. I think there's so many lessons in it. One, the thing you just
Yes.
said is it's never too late. You're now
It's
59
never
and
too
in the
late.
most
Right.
joyful time of your
Hmm.
life. I think that's very impactful.
It's never
Another
too
thing
late.
is names have meaning and intention. The fact that your father chose joy to be a part of your name
Yes.
and wanted that for your life, I think is
Yes.
very significant. So thank you for
Yes.
sharing that. I just,
Of
have shared
course.
like I still have my orange, I think it was Joy Collective umbrella that you gave me,
That's
and
the
it does
best
bring me joy.
umbrella.
No, it brings me joy because orange is one of my favorite colors. And the reason it's one of my
Mhm.
favorite colors is because it's such a joyful color. It brings, it's I
Yes.
don't really like yellow, so I want to say it brings
Yes.
sunshine. I don't really like yellow. It's not a good color on me, but orange has always been one of my favorite colors. So
Me too.
this joy collective umbrella that's orange on a rainy day, you're taking something very bright
Yes.
outside on a rainy day. It does add
Yes.
an element of joy. So
It does. I'm glad you have that still. It
yeah,
makes me smile. That's a
yes.
great one.
Hopefully the New York winds haven't beat it down yet. You know how that
Yes,
goes.
all
But
good. I can send you
before,
another one.
yes, please do. Please do.
Okay.
Before we get into, the organization you started, just tell me a little bit more about your career and specifically you're now CEO and founder of the House of Joy. So that's
Mhm.
really amplifying the joy. Tell me, what is that? What do you do? I know I didn't mention you're an Emmy Award winning
Mhm. None of
producer,
that
marketing
matters. It's
executive.
all good.
It matters. No,
Yeah.
we have to give you your kudos.
Well,
You earned
thank
it.
you. It's interesting. I think, okay, so my career, I started off way back at Howard wanting to be the first Black president.
Really.
And I was a
Does
political
everybody at
science
Howard want to be the
major.
first person
Exactly.
the
Everybody
president
wants the same thing you
wanted to
did
be?
too, probably. But
Uh-huh.
then I decided I really wanted to be in business. And so I started my career at Procter& and Gamble in Cincinnati and then went to
Yes, I can remember
BET.
that.
Thus, we met each other and did a lot of really amazing things when BET was still based in DC, and
Mhm.
then worked with a lot of wonderful people to create some fantastic specials and tent poles and lead the marketing and communications team there and
Mhm.
incredible times. Then went to Dell. And then in 2009, decided I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. And
Mhm.
my first client was BET. I tell people how important it is to leave in a
Leave
really
well.
positive way,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because you never know who
Don't
you're going to
burn
call.
bridges. Mhm.
Exactly. So ironically, my first client as an entrepreneur was BET, and my job was to manage the Procter& and Gamble relationship. So it was the
Mhm.
nexus of two of my most important career moments coming together, and it was a
Right. I think
fantastic
that's probably when
time.
I met you because I remember you as the Procter& and Gamble lady.
Exactly. So I
The
came back
PT.
having,
Yeah.
and at the time, many of my friends were then, running major organizations or presidents of, countries or what have you. And so it was a
Hmm.
wonderful, wonderful first consulting opportunity. And it was like coming back home to family with
Right. And bringing
BET
all of your
and
worlds together.
it
Yeah.
was a beautiful thing. But I became an entrepreneur, and I became an entrepreneur in 2009 when there were two big things that happened. I was on a trip to China. I had a global job at Dell, and I was trying to fill out the preschool paperwork for my now 20-year-old. He was 3 at the time.
Hmm.
And in trying to fill out the paperwork, I could not answer any of the questions because I
Oh,
did not
wow.
know my children. I
What were
left my
some of the
house.
answers? What were some of the
Like,
questions?
what kind of food do they like? What do they take a nap? What
Like, I
time is
don't
their
know. I'm
nap
not
time?
there.
What time? I'm not there. I'm never there, never there. And I don't know my
Right.
kids. So I remember sitting on this flight just crying like silent tears because it hit me like, wow, I have a 3-year-old, an almost 6-year-old, and I don't know anything about them. Nothing. I can't answer. What kind of cereal do they eat? Do they do this? What are their
Hmm.
activities? Nothing. And I mean, the basics, their name, and at that
Right.
time, and then
You know
some,
their
yeah,
names. Yeah.
that's it.
You remember that,
And
their
so
birthdays.
after that, oh, our Obama sign got smushed into the yard at the time.
This was
And
in
then this
Texas
was
or?
in Texas.
Wow. Okay.
And then I was doing a big deal with a very big, big, big celebrity. And I'm not going to name the name right now, but one
Hmm.
of the biggest celebrities in the world back then. And my then boss killed the deal while I was in the air and we were at signature stage. And one of the things that I always talk about is the power and importance of relationships. And I remember landing and calling, and he said, why? And it was a decision that did not make any sense to me. So between not being able to fill out the school paperwork, the Obama
Yeah.
situation, and realizing it's an environment that I don't feel comfortable in,
Mm.
and this relationship that was now damaged with somebody that I had done an early tour deal with when she was still young, I said, this is
Mm.
not the place for me and my
Okay,
family.
good. It was a she. I
And
was
so
worried it was Diddy for a minute. Okay,
no, it
good.
was a she, and it was a good
Okay,
person, and she's still
okay.
a good person. But I decided to leave then. So that's how I became an entrepreneur. I picked up the phone and called, at the time, Scott Mills and Louis Carr and said, hey, I'm thinking about coming back to the East Coast. And they said, oh my God, how
Hmm.
quickly can you get back? So I started my entrepreneurship journey then.
Okay.
Um, and at that time it was called K Foreign Company because I wanted to remember what was most important to me, which was my family. And
Oh,
so I had
right.
Kelly, Keith, Kyle, and Chris
Okay. I love
on
how you
as my
embed
logo.
meaning, how you embed
Yeah,
meaning in all of your
everything.
enterprises. Yeah.
Yes, K Foreign Company, our little logo was meant my family. So at the time we had
Wow.
business cards. So passing out my business card was a reminder. This is what's
Hmm.
most important to me. Don't ever lose sight of that again. And then
Wow.
my dad's situation. So House of Joy is really, we're a boutique firm intentionally. We are a Black and women owned firm based in the
Hmm.
DC area and in Florida. And we have people all over the country, incredible people, and we do purpose driven work for clients and brands.
Hmm.
And we
And
build
how do you define
programs.
purpose-driven work, like for a corporation?
I'm smiling when I think about purpose-driven work is not, it's not selling, detergent and shampoo. It is
Hmm.
creating meaningful experiences and initiatives that help positively impact a person's life. And so it could be with Mob United, it could be something around traffic stop safety for a client.
Hmm.
It could be and we actually did for Dove, um, the Crown movement, the Crown Act,
Hmm.
and the movement, and built that whole campaign with
Yes.
Dove as our champion and our agency. And I say our because it's a host of people, but Joy Collective was the agency tapped to do that work for
Hmm.
Dove. And so creating that whole Crown movement is something I'm super
Yeah.
proud of and
That's amazing.
very,
And since you brought it
yeah.
up, let's go ahead. I was going to ask you about that later, but since you
Oh,
mentioned it,
okay.
just
Okay.
for people who don't know about the
Oh,
Crown
sure.
Movement and the Crown Act, just explain like what that is and why
Sure.
it was
So,
important.
yeah, so Crown stands for creating a respectful and open world for natural hair. And in 2018, a good friend called. We were formerly at P&G together. She was at
Hmm.
Unilever at the time, and she said, "Hey, I really need some help, connecting with different audiences." And at this time, we were talking about the Black community and Black women. And what we found out is that at the time, 2018. it was legal to discriminate against a person because of their natural hair or their protective styles, which are braids, locks, twists, or knots, in the
Mhm.
workplace and in schools. And in that same summer, 2018, we saw children being sent home from school because of their beautifully braided hair.
Mhm.
And a woman, a case went to the Supreme Court that got dismissed because a woman lost her job because she would not take her braids out of her hair. And so we said we need to do something about this. And Dove asked us to do something to make a difference and to see what we could do around hair discrimination. So that's what it is. It's about stopping hair discrimination in the
Mhm.
workplace and schools. And my former business partner and I, Orlena, and I put together a team, and our team at Joy Collective at the time, plus a
Mhm.
suite of incredible consultants that built this whole initiative. And then AC inside Unilever was
Mhm.
saying, let them do their thing. You need a champion to stand up and speak up and show up for you in spite of the naysayers, in spite of the people saying, so just go sell soap. So the Crown
Yes.
movement was about changing the landscape for people. And so and
Yes.
ultimately people like yourself and myself can wear our
Yeah,
hair
absolutely.
natural. And
Yes,
right,
and
like
now
I do. And I never
legislation
did
has
this.
been passed in how many states now to
28
make it legal for
states.
people to wear their hair the way it comes out of their head, which is just a crazy
Yes.
thing to say
So
out loud,
28
but
states. It
28
is
states.
crazy. 28
So in
states
about
have
half the
passed.
country, it's
Yes.
legal for you to wear your hair the way it grows out of your head.
And in the other half, approximately, you can get sent home from work, or you
Mhm.
could get, there's no legal protections.
Yeah,
And then there's
just
some municipalities in certain states that don't, the full state doesn't have it. There's certain municipalities, certain cities that also
oh,
have it.
wow.
But that's the kind of work we do. We do purpose-driven
Yes.
work for
No, that's a great
clients that
example.
really want to make a difference, because you need the client to support, financially, the people on the team to go do the work, and to
Mhm.
get out there with boots on the ground. So that's the work
Yeah.
we do.
And
Yeah,
you think
it's
of
great.
that as primarily affecting women, but it's men and women.
That's
We Mob United signed into a case of a young man in Texas, you're probably familiar, who was
yes,
kicked out of
yes,
school for having locks and not
yes,
being willing to cut his
absolutely,
hair and had to change
absolutely.
schools. It's unbelievable.
It's men and women, and it's a serious situation and a problem. But
Hmm.
that is the kind of work that we do at House of Joy. And we're doing a
That's
campaign
wonderful.
right now for Easter seals. Last year we did something for people with disabilities called Disability is Not a Dirty Word. Right now we're building a big campaign for people with autism. And I am
Mm.
so excited about that. It's going to launch in early 2026.
Oh,
So,
wow. Well, I definitely want to hear more
yes.
about that.
Absolutely. I'm happy to share because
Yes.
I'm proud of the work we do. I've done the selling of the shampoo and the conditioner and all that, and the detergent. I want, in this back half of my life, it's about how can we make an impact for good, and what can we do as our team at House of Joy to create programs that really help people, that
Yeah.
reduce stigma, or that help a population with a problem. So we tackle pain points for people. That's how I define purpose-driven initiatives.
Okay. That's beautiful. So I want to talk about the SonRise Project.
Sure.
Before we do that, I just want to share, like, going back to something you said earlier. I don't know what's next. My kids like either, and they're like teenagers. I was
Uh-huh.
chuckling to myself when you shared that because my mom just left town. Like she left us
Mhm.
to go home for a while, and before she left, she puts like snacks in their book bag for school. They eat at school.
Uh-huh.
I was like, "What
Okay.
snacks do you put? Like, what are they like?" I don't want to have to ask them.
Exactly.
It's embarrassing to not know. I
It
was like,
is
what snacks do
embarrassing.
they like? So she told me, and I
Exactly.
like took a picture of like what she did before she left so I can put the
So
right
you can
snacks.
replicate it. That's
Who knows? We
right.
can
But
only
that's
do so
okay. We
much.
do the
Yeah,
best we can,
we do the best
Depelsha.
we
We
can.
do the best we
So,
can.
so, um,
Hmm.
so tell me about the SonRise Project. What is it? When did it start, and why?
Sure. The SonRise Project is a nonprofit organization. We are all about helping parents, and it was started helping parents who may be dealing with challenges. It could be addiction challenges, it could be mental health challenges, it could be
Mhm.
other things. And I started it in 2020, early
Okay.
2020, when my family was experiencing some challenges with our eldest son, Kyle, who's amazing. And yet we were dealing with a lot of challenges as I look back on it, mostly because of how we were parenting, but I'll get to that in a second. So it was
Mm-hmm.
created because I didn't feel I had a space to talk about what was happening. I was
Mm-hmm.
dealing with stigma and shame
Mm-hmm.
and a host of other emotions because we typically in our community don't talk about issues like this, mental health issues or addiction issues or suicide
Mm-hmm.
issues. And he had attempted twice, and
Mm-hmm.
I just was at a loss. And so I did not know or could not find a place where other parents like myself were coming together to talk about it in a safe space where we could share vulnerably what was going on and get help, whether it's from experts that speak or from one another, because most of the help often comes from people sharing and saying, "Oh,
Yes.
that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you this advice," or working through issues together. So that's why it was started in early 2020. The core of it is a weekly support group call on Sundays at 9 a.m. It is technically a podcast, and yet what I love most about it is the opportunity to have the support group sessions live every
Mm-hmm.
Sunday with people that are just like us that are dealing with issues or challenges or just struggling with something and they would need support. They need a safe space to come and talk. We were nominated for an NAACP Image Award, and
Oh,
Oprah
wow.
did a podcast for about 54 episodes, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And that was awesome
That's
as
amazing.
well. Yeah, it is amazing. And at the same time, what I love about it is it's a no pressure, safe space for people. We'll be there every
Mm-hmm.
Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern. So when people
Yes.
roll over in bed and click on the link or come on, there are nuggets every single week. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's therapeutic for me and it's therapeutic for the people that come on. This was always
Right.
a nugget of wisdom
Yeah,
from somebody.
for sure. And, we share that in common. We both started,
Yes.
and I use the same language, safe spaces
Yes.
for parents based on
Hmm.
our own struggles, reactions. Mob United
Yes.
started in the summer of 2016 following multiple police killings of unarmed Black
Hmm.
men. And at the time, my sons were 7 and 4. And I was looking at
Yes.
raising them in a world that seemed very scary. Like, how can I protect them? How can I keep them safe? How can I
Yes.
not have them be viewed as dangerous or always a
Hmm.
target? So, very similar in intention. And I
Yes.
wonder, like, why do you think people feel so comfortable sharing? 'Cause it is recorded. They're in this support group format. You have experts speaking to them, and they're sharing very personal information and situations. Like, why do you think they're willing to do that?
I believe people share when they really truly feel that that there are other people that have gone through the same thing. That's when
Mm-hmm.
people open up. If you're not in an environment where you don't think people have had similar experiences, then you typically don't share. So
Mm-hmm.
I tend to be an open book. People know that about me. Kyle has given permission, and is
Yes.
supportive of my sharing and our journey together and my family's journey together. And I
Mm-hmm.
tend to open up. And this past weekend, I shared a story about Kyle. Something happened recently. And people were like, oh my goodness, that's so deep. That just happened to me. So
Mm-hmm.
often it's because I'll share a story or a nugget, or the speaker, we have a guest speaker every week. The speaker will share something about whatever the topic is for that week. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the reason, Tepelsha. We've made sure people know that people are there for similar reasons. No one
Right.
is above anybody else, regardless of your title or where you live. None of that matters. We're all coming
Mm-hmm.
there as a parent or a caregiver or just a human wanting to help ourselves,
Yes.
show up differently
Yes.
in the world. So that's why it's lived experiences and being vulnerable with people because it helps
Yeah.
other people learn to be vulnerable.
For sure. It makes such a difference.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I'm going to
It
ask
does.
you more about your own experiences that led to this. And I just have to say, we just had a lovely conversation with Kyle.
We
the two of us. So
did.
you all will hear from Kyle himself on the Mob United platform soon. Um, but so
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask you to repeat some of what we talked about in that conversation,
Okay.
just because this is a different audience. So tell
Okay.
me, what were you going through? What was he going through at the time? You shared a little bit that made you feel such an urgent need to create this organization and safe space.
Yes. So, so with Kyle, we had a challenging, no, very difficult journey, very difficult time during his high school years. And he was experimenting with drugs. And at the same time, we were parenting out of a fearful space at the time, my ex-husband and I. I'll speak for
Mm-hmm.
myself only. And I was
Mm-hmm.
definitely afraid of having a black son, two black sons that were living and going to school in a predominantly white neighborhood. And I did not want them outside on the streets. I did not want them going to parties. I was very strict and parented like I was parented. My father was very strict. And so having like a chokehold on him made him want to pull away and made him want to go out and be outside and not being able to go to the parties. He wanted to go to the parties. He would sneak out and go to the parties. And the more
Mm-hmm.
he would do things against our house rules, the more we would punish him. The more we would
Mm-hmm.
punish him, the more he would pull the other way like a tug of war.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more he pulled away, the more we and do something else. It just escalated and escalated and escalated, and um, it felt disrespectful. It felt I was afraid for him, afraid that he might get picked up, he might harm himself.
Yeah.
All of the things, fear, and ultimately we ended up deciding to have him sent to a wilderness program. Which, if I could get the time back, we can't get the time back. I never would
Mm-hmm.
do that again. And
How
we
does that
sent him.
work?
Well, there are different ways. You can take your child there if you can have them admitted when they're under 18. Otherwise, they have to go on
Mm-hmm.
their own and they
Okay.
have to, sign the paperwork. But we did an intervention type service and we were listening to all the therapists and the education specialists and all this stuff because we were thinking, no, he has to do this and stay on this path that we have created
Okay.
for him.
Mm.
And to
Wow.
do this path, you have to graduate and you have to on time and you have to do this, you have to do
Yes.
this, you have to do this.
Yes.
And so we
Yes.
had him on this path. So we were seeing people that were aligned with us, forcing him to be on this path. And I say that no
Mm-hmm.
shade to educational consultants and therapists, but we followed these directions and guidance from professionals trying to keep our son on this path, on his path, but it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
his path, it was our path. And so how the thing worked the time that we did it the first time and the two subsequent times, you hire a service, a company, they're intervention companies, and they come into your home in the middle of the night, and you open up the door of your son's room in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, and you wake them up, and you, as the mom, say, "This is what's happening. This is a gift. We're helping you get well. Blah 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 blah."
Mm.
It is terrifying for the child.
Of
They look
course.
up. There's three huge men. They look like humongous linebackers. Probably, maybe they
Mm.
are. I don't know. And they physically take your child out of the house and they put them in a car and they drive them to wherever the place is. And like
Wow.
any human, he was struggling and screaming, "Mommy, mommy,
Mhm.
please, mommy, help me, mommy, help me." And
Oh,
he opened by saying, "I have a championship swim meet tomorrow. We have a meet tomorrow." And I remember saying, "I want to save your life. I don't care about swimming.
ah,
I just want to save your life." But all he was doing was smoking weed. So again, when I
mm,
look back, it's like he was
mhm,
smoking weed. It really wasn't a big deal. And he just wanted to play basketball. That wasn't a big deal either.
mhm,
So that's to answer your question, how it works. That's one way it can work, where you hire
mhm.
people to take them. There are other cases where parents lie to their kids and they say, "We're going to see grandma," and they drive to the place. And then once you're in, you're like on
And they
lockdown.
take
They
them
have
from there.
guards
Yeah.
everywhere. And
Wow.
I didn't want to lie.
Yeah.
Um, but it was traumatic. And I think that it was traumatic. And we did it 3 times. It's traumatic for
Mm,
the child, beyond traumatic. And it was heartbreaking for the parents,
Mhm.
because you don't know if what you're doing is right and you're trying to get them to get on track. I say that in air quotes because that's the fundamental problem is parents
Mm.
trying to get them to be on track with their track versus
Mhm.
saying, this is my child, this is what they want to do, this is their life. I'm going to let them live their life and we're going to focus on having conversation and communication in a relationship.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the
so hard
key.
though. I hear you, and I know,
It's
like you're
hard.
saying, this after the fact and retrospect, but as parents, it's very hard to know like the right
Yes,
balance. And even the language you're using did not exist when we were growing up, when previous generations were
that's
growing
right.
up, right? Like you did what your parents said, you tried to meet expectations, you didn't question it, you didn't talk back. This new generation,
Totally different with social
it doesn't work.
media and
It
all
doesn't
the
work.
other things. It doesn't work.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're right. So we do the best we can, but it was a traumatic experience for him. And when he would come back, he would slip back into the same habits like anybody
Mm,
does. If you're back in the same environment, you slip into the same habits, and we slipped into the same habits.
mm-hmm,
So, I know now, nothing changes until we change. And I wasn't changing. I was still parenting out of fear. I was still punishing way too much
mm-hmm,
and way too harshly. And the relationship was really damaged because there was
mm.
no communication.
So what
And
would you
so,
do differently if you had a chance? I know you said like you can't get time back
yeah,
or something
can't
like
get the
that, and
time
you
back.
you mentioned swimming, you mentioned basketball. Tell me,
Yeah. If I
looking
could get
back,
the
like,
time back, yeah, looking back, if I could get the time back, or I'd say what I would do differently is listen to Kyle. When he came back, came back from this Olympic training center and he said, I don't want to swim anymore. That was a simple comment. I want to
and
play
he'd been swimming
basketball.
his whole life, though, right? This
He had
is
been
like
swimming since he was like 3 or something or
right,
4.
and I
So
remember
he
he
was
would always
15.
be texting me from the
Mm-hmm.
swim meet, like you're always at a
Yeah.
swim meet, so it's not a
Yeah.
small deal. It's easy for you to say now, like it's a
Yes.
small deal, but like you had invested hours and hours and probably
Yes.
thousands and thousands of dollars in
Yes, and it
swimming,
is, you're
right?
right. It wasn't a small deal, but the lesson in that is that was my dream, my ex's dream, for him to go to the Olympics and go to get a full scholarship to wherever swimming.
For
That
swimming,
wasn't,
yeah.
he was tired and he said, I want to just be a kid. I don't want to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning anymore. I don't want to do this. He was burned out. And
Mhm.
it's like any adult, when you're burned out, you say, okay, maybe you should take a leave of absence.
Yeah.
It's just it's
And what
having
age was he then?
he was 15
Okay.
and he was in ninth grade. And so he needed the difference to Pelsha is learning to listen, really listen to our children and allow them to live their own life and walk their own path. That is the bottom line.
Mhm.
And to your point, it's hard to know when to say, no, that's not okay.
Mhm.
However, one of my dear friends taught me this lesson about being a guide from the side. It's like being a
Mm,
coach, like a basketball coach or football coach. You
okay.
stay on the sidelines and you're guiding from the side and you're coaching from the side and you're dropping nuggets and providing wisdom. But ultimately, they're out there playing the game. They're
Yeah, you're not
playing.
orchestrating, it's not
Right,
this,
right.
it's
You're not, she said,
this.
be a guide from the side, not a sage from the stage. And I, like growing up with parents that were very strict and I listened and did what I was told. That's not, that's not the way it is now. And he was
Mhm.
clear enough to say, I want to play basketball. He was great at basketball also.
Mhm.
And that's the difference. It's learning to listen and it's learning to have a communicative relationship,
Yeah.
building a relationship versus being right and letting
Mm.
kids be kids. That's the real thing. It's like
Hold
letting your
on,
kid be a kid
I have to type that for the audience. Building a relationship
versus
versus
being right.
being right. Okay.
That's critically important. Relationship versus being right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Um, so you've touched on this already, but I want to stay here
hmm
for a minute because it's such a big point.
Okay.
I think many of us, probably most parents, and probably even I won't say even more so, but for Black professional parents, like we're trying to give these kids every opportunity, right? Like we're trying to give
That's
them
right.
all we have. If we have the resources, we want to pour into them. And one thing I wanted to ask you, like, do you think you had, I didn't ask you this, so do you think you had a bias against basketball? Because like is more stereotypical, like swimming is kind of a different swim lane, so to speak. Like, did you think about that at all?
I didn't think about that at all. It's an interesting question, but I did not think about that at all. My thought was more around he's a good basketball player, he's a great swimmer.
Right.
That
Because he
was
had
it.
already
It's like,
invested the hours and hours in
oh,
swimming.
and it
Yeah.
was more about like you're going to get a free scholarship. You're going to be at the
Right. And
Olympics.
you
You can
probably have a
do.
better chance. There's so many more people trying to play basketball
Mhm.
than,
Right.
especially black
That was
boys
in
trying
my
to swim.
mind. You're a standout
Mm-hmm.
swimmer. There's very few of you, and in my mind as a marketing person too, I was thinking about, oh, all the different marketing deals and all the things he would
Mm-hmm.
be able to do from a professional or a monetization perspective. That's where my head was, which again,
Mm-hmm.
that's my thinking for how I would do it. But
Right.
that's not what he
Right.
wanted. That's the bottom line. It's not what he wanted. So the biggest lesson is how do we listen to our children and let them
Mm-hmm.
still say, well, I understand that, or here's what my perspective is, but ultimately it's your decision. That's really hard
Yeah.
to do. It's hard to do.
It's very hard to do. So I'm gonna go back and finish my thoughts. So it's saying like we have these children, we have this idealized view of
Yeah.
who they are and should become, right? We have the path, as you referred to,
Yes.
and then they don't do it. Like I'll just say for myself, I was very naive in having kids. I thought I was just making like clones, you know?
Yes.
Like
Yep.
so much of my thought process of even choosing a husband, may my husband rest in peace. He was a wonderful man of high
Yes,
character and
he was.
integrity and very smart and all these things. And I chose him primarily because I thought he would be a good husband, but more so a good father. And I wanted to create
Yes.
more people in the world like him. I thought the combination of him and me would
Yes.
create a certain type of person, right?
Yes.
So I thought we're just making clones, you know? And
Yes.
I've learned
Mm.
that is not the case.
No, that
Learned
is
that it's
not
not
the
the case.
case.
You're not creating versions of yourself. And it's taken me a long time, actually, longer probably than it needed to, me to realize like these
Yes.
are unique individuals who are their own people and
Yes.
they may or may
That's
not
right.
be anything like you. Like you can try to impart your values, you can try to like guide them on a certain path, and many
Yep.
people pull it off, but it's not guaranteed. So, like, how do you help parents deal with that who are like experiencing a gap between expectation and reality, whether it's good or bad? It may not be like a horrible situation, but I would imagine many of the parents in the communities you serve had different visions, expectations for who and what their children would be, and they're experiencing that gap. How do you help them navigate that?
Yeah, it's so deep. I remember being in a Jack and Jill. It's such a great question, Tapelsha. I remember being in a Jack and Jill graduation ceremony, and it was a COVID
Mm-hmm.
one, so everybody was at home, and
Mm-hmm.
and Cal didn't show up, and I remember sitting in my
Mm.
office, and I didn't know where he was either. Had no idea. I hadn't seen him for days. Was stressed, worried, sick,
Mm-hmm.
but I had embarrassment at that time. Like I'm sitting there
Yes.
and they're doing a little thing for Kyle and I was embarrassed. And
Yeah.
I look back on that now and I use it as an opportunity to teach people, even when they ask a question like, oh, where's Johnny going to school? I'll
Uh-huh.
say a better question would be, do they know what they want to do after high school?
Right.
Because
Or
I
how
was
even
just
better than that,
grateful.
how's he doing?
How's he doing? How about
Right.
that, Devonta?
How
How's he
about that?
doing? Because
Mhm.
we were grateful. Kyle graduated from high school. That was it. And so I
Mhm.
was grateful and got to this place where it really is his journey. Who cares if he doesn't go to school? Who cares if he doesn't do what we thought he was going to do? It's his life, it's his
Mhm.
journey. And that's the biggest thing for parents to understand. I think we sometimes give our kids too much. I know I did.
Yeah.
And it's called learned privilege. And so they have this learned privilege and learned helplessness. So sometimes we
Mm.
have these grown kids, but we've done everything for them. We booked all the
Mhm.
travel, we call the doctors all the time, we do everything. And then how do they learn? And how do they learn to make mistakes?
Yeah.
So I think we have to get over the shame and get over this whole I'm going to put them on this path and they're going to be these perfect kids. Or they're definitely not going to be clones. And they're going to be
Mhm.
their own individual human with their own personalities. And that is
Yeah.
hard if you're a high achieving person or an A type personality and your child is just a different human. We have to
Yeah,
accept
I hear
that.
it so often. I hear it so often. I don't know
Yes.
if it's different with girls and boys. We both have boys, but I hear it
We have
so
boys.
often. And again was
Yes.
chuckling myself when you gave the Jack and Jill example because I'm also a Jack and Jill mom, and this, I was giving a speech on Saturday. We're going to an activity. Like, do not. You better participate. You better not be rude. You better. You will. You're embarrassing me. You're representing me.
Yes, because that's about
Do I
you.
think he
But
cares? No.
they don't, but also my kids were like, why are we in Jack and Jill?
Oh
We don't
yeah.
want
Oh
to be in
no.
Jack and Jill.
No,
This
I
is for
get that
you.
too.
And
Right.
so I have
Exactly.
girlfriends who chose to get out because they're like, you know
Yeah.
what? And that was a smart thing, but it's a mom's organization. But my
Yeah.
kids, I was grateful when Chris showed up to the graduation. Now, did he have on
Mm-hmm.
what he was supposed to have on? No, he had a tank top and shorts on. But I sat in a place of gratitude. And
Right.
everybody else had a
He's
button
here.
down
He's here.
shirt and some
Yay.
slacks. And I was like,
Right.
that's what I,
Oh my
so that's the
goodness.
thing.
I am
This
so
man
feeling
on
that.
this man on Sunday said, what did he say? He said, look at the molecules, the miniature molecules of success, and lean
Mm,
into those. They will become bigger moments over time. And so that was, I didn't hear that line until Sunday, but
mm-hmm.
in that moment at that Jack and Jill senior graduation ceremony thing, and I'm standing there with the moms and our sons, and all the sons had on their shirts and their slacks, and
Right.
I had on I was
As they
smiling,
were told to do.
cheesing.
I'm sure there were
I was,
a lot of instructions
uh-huh,
on what to wear, right?
right. And he had a
Mm-hmm.
black tank top on and some black shorts and some sneakers. I was smiling because I was so happy he was there. And I
Yeah.
leaned into that little molecule of like, I'm just happy he's here. Who cares what he has on? That was a
Mm-hmm.
different Kelly than the
Very, right.
one 2 years before where I was like, oh my God, he's not even here. So I don't care about those things anymore. I've
Mm-hmm.
released all that.
That's
And
amazing.
but it's hard to post. I was exactly where you were, where you are.
Mm-hmm.
I was you. Now I'm in a different place. It's like, you want to show up and wear that? Okay.
Yes.
It looks crazy
Pass
to
some of that
me,
joy.
but that's your choice.
I had an argument this morning. As you know, it's Veterans Day, and one of my sons is out of school for Veterans Day. The other school is open. They're supposed to dress up. They have dress up days on days like Veterans Day,
Uh-huh.
9/11, Martin Luther King Day. So I laid out this very lovely outfit for dress up day, black slacks and a nice. I didn't even go hard. I didn't put like a blazer, just like a sweater, a button down shirt. I came in the room. He was putting on sweatpants. I was like, it's
Yeah.
dress up day. He's like, I'm not wearing that. So we ended up compromising. He wore a sweater with the sweatpants. It was like
Okay.
close enough.
Close
I quit.
enough.
Close
And that's
enough.
great. And see, yeah, and the fact that he did it. So, even at
Barely. I
that,
mean, it was a
maybe,
fight, but we just ran out of time. Like we had to call it. Like you have to make the bus. So it's a daily struggle. It really is.
yes,
What
yes.
are some of the issues or some of the core issues you hear like your community struggling with from the SonRise Project? What are people grappling with?
I think a couple big areas. One is people having grown children that are back home now and
Mm,
not living within boundaries. A
mm,
lot of marijuana use and
mm-hmm.
usage, and people wanting to be okay with it, but not really okay with it, and not
Right.
sure how
Especially
to
since it's
help.
legal in so many places
It's
now, right?
legal
So it's like,
now.
how do you
How do
reconcile
you,
that? It still has an
right,
impact on your life
right.
and what you're doing.
Right. That's a big one.
Mm,
And related to that is especially a lot of people that may have they finished high school, they've gone away, they're back home, and they're living on the couch. And they're not
mm,
really trying to do anything, and it's comfortable. There's food in the refrigerator all the time. It's
mm-hmm.
warm and cozy. And so people are like, how do I get my child to be to want to want to go out and do, have a job and try to
Yeah.
be self-sufficient. That's a big, big, big one. And the
That's
other
probably
big
one of
one
my
is,
biggest fears.
hmm and the other big one is defiance. There's a lot of
Hmm.
people dealing with defiance and they're like, I'm scared of my child. I don't know what to do. And they have to get out. They
Like
don't know how to
physically afraid.
physically. Uh-huh. I
No.
hear a lot of that.
Hmm.
And sometimes we hear about people and their children being bullied at school and they're not really sure what to do. And so we have had some wonderful people talk about how to affirm and accept and how to ask questions and, really really focus on the communication
Hmm.
and helping the child with how to deal with some of those things without rolling up to the school and talking to the kid, which
Right.
sometimes makes it
Yes.
worse. But
Yeah.
really, those are the biggest things. It's, around drug usage, drugs or alcohol, and what to do. And then how do I help my now grown child, want to get out and get his own place and, get that hustle
Hmm.
mentality.
Hmm.
That's a big part of what we're
Wow.
hearing.
And how do you or the experts you have on advise parents on when to know when something is a crisis stage? Because everyone is going to have challenges and struggles, right? But like, what are the
Mhm.
signs you're looking for to
Mhm.
know this has reached a stage where you really need to seek um,
Right.
additional help?
Yes, there was a young lady, she's in her 20s. She's a suicidologist, actually. And
Mm-hmm.
that's her field of study, and she's incredible. And a lot of advice from her, but others. She talked about when you see signs of crisis would be things like, having zero interest to go anywhere, to ever leave, to be outside when they may have used to do those things. Or if you hear
Mm-hmm.
things about, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care anymore. Or it doesn't matter. No one cares. No one cares.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things,
Mm-hmm.
she said those are signs. And you can try to have a conversation, or you say, I'm here. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm here just to
Yeah.
listen
Yeah.
and not overreact, but just to listen. And then there's 988 is a wonderful resource, which we
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have when I was
That's the
going through.
suicide hotline, right? You
It's
call
a
them.
suicide and it's a help hotline. So it's not
Okay.
purely for
It's not
suicide
only. Okay.
anymore. So it could
Yeah, we
be.
actually had the executive director of the 988 line
That's
on as a
incredible. Oh,
guest. Yeah.
amazing. So it's millions of people have used it. So if you're scared, like, I wish I had it back years ago when I
Mm-hmm.
didn't really know where Kyle was at a particular time, and just to have someone to talk about, how do I deal with this? What are the things I can say? But
Mm-hmm.
experts will always talk about listening to our children,
Mm-hmm.
being present, not being pushy, not yelling, not
Right.
overreacting, but really learning to listen and have conversations. That's the biggest thing.
And
And
it's so
being,
hard to do. Like, I'm just
Mhm.
wondering what shifted, right? Because we have all this advice and all these tools now and all this new way of parenting. Like, how did we make it? Like, if this was the way it was supposed to go, like no generation has been parented this way before, right? Like it was more, like you said, strict, follow the rules, stay within the
Mhm.
lines. Maybe this isn't what you want to do, but this is what you're gonna do. And people did it, and people, for the most part, survived. Like, what do you think? There's something different about the modern generation of young people that makes
Yes,
them, I would say, more fragile.
I think it's social media. That's the biggest thing that's different. And being able to just see anything and everything in a second on your phone. And now with all
Hmm.
these AI tools, it's
Yeah.
even more pronounced. But yes, you have people comparing themselves to what they see on the internet or on their phones. There's
Hmm.
comparison. That's the cheat of joy biblically. It's really
Mm.
comparing constantly. And girls will be looking at, oh, I should be this size. There's a
Hmm.
lot of body challenges with our girls, and with boys, they want to be successful, whatever that looks like for them. And they
Hmm.
judge themselves based on what they're seeing on their phones constantly. It's self
Hmm.
judgment. And that is the biggest, I think, detriment. And the phone is there. When we were growing up, and if you
Right.
had a bully at school, you would run home, get inside, and you were done with the bully. Now,
Yeah.
a
Now they
bully
can.
chases you 24/7 on your
Right,
phone.
online. Yeah, on your
And
phone.
so there's all of those extra things
Hmm.
that are driven by technology. As good as
That's
it
so
is,
interesting.
it drives so many negative behaviors as well, I believe.
Hmm.
And I don't just believe it, it's factual. It's all the data shows that.
Wow, that is very unfortunate.
Hmm.
I don't know
Yeah,
how we get out of that because AI is only going to exacerbate it even
it's
more.
going to continue. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big help in a lot of ways, professionally and personally. But it's
Mm-hmm.
really, I think it's hurting. Social media has really hurt our children, our teenagers especially, and
Yeah.
young adults. Hmm. Yep.
So I want to bring this home, and since you are the purveyor of joy, I want to take it to a joyful place and ask
Okay.
you, as you look ahead, what is your hope and aspiration for the SonRise Project?
My aspiration and hope for the SonRise Project is simply to continue to help people, to help people create loving, communicative relationships with their children, and to have thriving families that, share and talk and love one another, respect one another. That's it. at one point wanted to, have this huge, huge platform, millions of followers and all that. Maybe one day. But every
Mhm.
day, every Sunday that I do it, I get such a sense of joy from it because the
Mhm.
people that are there or the people that listen afterwards or in other places, I know it's helping and I know it's giving us hope. It's giving me hope for my children and my family. It's giving other
Yeah.
people hope every single Sunday. And I hope to continue it as long as I can physically. I will be there
Yes.
every Sunday at 9 and we'll always have a guest. And I want to continue to help as many people as possible. That's it.
Wonderful. And how can people find you if they want to join?
Oh, sure. They can go to the sonriseproject.com or
Okay.
.org, and it's spelled SON.
Mm-hmm.
The sonriseproject.com or the sonriseproject.org, and we're on
Hmm.
YouTube and available where where podcasts are found. But really, you register on the website because
Okay.
we need to know who's joining the community from a
Hmm.
safety perspective. So it's just
Yes, for sure.
name, an email, where people live.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm putting it here. So I put
Okay.
.org. You can also use .com, but I just want
Yes.
to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you so much for just all that you're doing in our community and in the world, and
Thank you,
for our
Depelsha.
boys and
Likewise.
for Mob United. And I was thinking we didn't time this way. That this is Veterans Day, and I didn't
Hmm.
really think about that aspect. But many of our veterans do struggle with mental wellness and addiction issues. So
Yes.
I don't think
Yes.
it's coincidence that we're having a conversation about that on this day. And I just want to acknowledge that and their service as well in
Absolutely.
this moment.
Yes, I agree. It's
Yeah.
veterans are amazing, amazing individuals, and I agree with you. We've done a ton of work in the mental health space, and you're exactly right there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's wonderful resources. 988 is one. The Ad
Mm-hmm.
Council has incredible resources for a bunch of different communities around mental health, and of course,
Yeah.
NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness, is
Right.
another
Yes.
wonderful tool, wonderful resource.
Yes. Well,
Yes,
is
but
there
happy
anything else you want
Veterans
to
Day.
share in closing?
Just no, I think I have enjoyed being here with you. I love what you're doing as well, Depelsha, at the Mob United platform. Phenomenal. I appreciate you and what you're doing as
Likewise.
well. And I think it's a journey. All of us are on a journey. And the
Yes, we are.
quicker
We're
we
on
get
it
to a
together.
place, yes, the quicker we get to a place where we just let our children live their lives and walk their own journey, the better. That's
Well,
what I want to
I'm
leave
working
us
on it. I'm telling you, all of these conversations are ministry for me. I'm working on it. I'm
And me
trying.
too. Every
So
day is a journey. Every
yeah,
day is a
we're
choice.
on a journey together. That's what this is all about: building community, being
Yes.
in community, all of these things. The
Yes.
SonRise Project, Mob United, Jack and Jill, it all has the same
Yes.
intention, different executions, but the same intention of being in
All
community
of
with
it.
people who all want the same things for their children. So
Absolutely.
thank you so much
Absolutely.
for being here, and we're gonna have a after party after we stop going live, so we
Okay,
can
sounds
continue our
good.
personal conversation.
Sounds good.
Yes,
Thank you,
thank you, everyone.
Depelsha.
Please share this, share it widely. There's so many people who can be blessed by this conversation. So please share it with everyone you know or anyone who you think may benefit from it. Thank you for joining.
Take care.